I'm not too sure I believe that. I don't understand. Maybe that happened like right when I was opening to Homer or something, but that's just very strange. It just sort of abruptly ended the stream. And like right when I was okay. Well, whatever. So cavalry. So far, I just sort of have just a very chill sort of like. You can see we're aiming up at the sun. Even the trees are kind of angled towards the sky from this POV. So that's kind of what we're working at right now. Usually in Sly Cooper, which this style is obviously uh, stealing from. Everything's just sort of a still PNG with like very few moving parts. I wanted to go for something a little bit more ambitious and like uh, less minimalist, right? The Sly Cooper cutscenes and everything are a little bit more minimalist, and that's not a flaw. But I like to at least see what that looks like and how troubling that would be for something like that. They definitely have their like frame by frame animations every once in a while. Hi, Gamer Owl. Nice to see you too. I didn't think anyone would even see this stream. I mostly just keep these as a logs to refer back to myself later. But hi, howdy, holy shit. So that's kind of what I've got going on. Is just very simple looping animations and everything, and then I'm gonna have some clouds roll in, and some rain is gonna start. So it's gonna start raining a little bit. Just a very like breezy, cool sort of vibe, but like it's about to rain just a little bit, right? And I think that's a pretty good establishing piece. The idea is I'm going to zoom in from here and then pan out. And that's because in my head, the story I have involves uh, this kingdom is sort of in a weird transitionary period where one administration is ending and another one's being trained to start taking over. And as such, here, like you see, it's a branch that's clearly been cut off and is now starting to regrow some leaves here. And that's kind of the metaphor of the moment, right? One chapter's ending, a new one is starting, and things are starting to grow from that point onward. Thought I'd drop by and see how I was doing. Been a while. I've been okay. I've moved over to Stoat. I have deleted my Discord, and I did try very briefly to come back to Discord, but I guess thankfully, Discord was like, nope, you are clearly making alternative accounts and disable every single one that I've made, which I'm okay with. I didn't like Discord that much to begin with anyway. I mean, I liked it better than not having it for sure, but like now that Stoat has video and everything, like I'm kind of happy with that. Uh and like I just kind of don't trust Discord basically. Since the whole like feeding your data to Palantir thing. Which, to be clear, that's not the reason I left initially. I left because of something completely irrelevant, but I was going to be leaving Discord eventually anyway, so it was just sort of economic to do so. There's a fly in here. So the idea is. Do, 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 do. One of the things I've noticed with Sly Cooper artwork is that, and this is gonna sound like really like no duh, like no shit, but um, almost everything you see looks like it was done with a pen stroke. And I don't just mean like, oh, the tree outline looks like it was done with literal pen strokes, but like even the clouds themselves have that sort of like calligraphy style to them. And that's just something I've been trying to be mindful of. Like when I do concept work in like a Slight Cooper art style, I have this tendency that I really need to get away from, where I just do everything in like these thick outlines and everything, trying to like mimic and predict what the Sly Cooper version of the artwork would look like. And that's kind of a bad habit for me to get into. And it's one I've been trying to break because, like, it should be more organic once I'm actually in the program, actually building it. But you know, that's the thing. I got to get better about that. But it's easier to visualize things in the Sly Cooper art style when I have it there. So it has its uses, but I can't do everything like that. I have to get out of that habit. Like over here with Pencil 2D, I have things in this very broad sketched out form so that cavalry I can let that workflow kind of guide it, which would make the most sense there. I gotta say, I when I envisioned any version of doing frame by frame work, I had always envisioned, like, I'd always seen myself doing it in Tahoma 2D. Or, yeah, Tahoma 2D. But, I, I like, even when I tested Pencil 2D, even with just, like, the regular XP Pen, I think it was the Star 6 uh, tablet that didn't have a screen on it, I always felt like the pencil just felt really good to use in Pencil 2D. And look at that. It feels like a normal pencil, right? Like it's pretty good. You know, it's pretty good. I gotta say, I wish there was like a polyline or something, but like, yeah, none of this actually does that. There's like, damn, even the brush feels good to use. What the fuck? Yeah, crazy. Even the brush feels good to use. But I'm gonna stick with pencil because I prefer to work with pencil for a bit. I've got to figure out some way to like adjust the alpha on this. Is it possible? Like, can I? Am I just missing it, or is it? Oh, Hold on, maybe I guess. Stop that. I didn't mean it. Is there a way to, like, adjust the alpha a bit? Oh. Groovy figured it out. He adjusted the damnable alpha. Okay, what is... Whoa. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Onion skins. Color palette. You need to move. You can go back over here. That's fine. Groovy just needed you to move over a little bit, that's all. Wait, where's my damnable timeline now, though? Where did it go? Fuck. Windows, timeline. Oh. No, don't open R2 mod, man. I didn't want that. Really, you're gonna fight with me now? Oh, you hate me. Oh, you hate me. Where did my damnable timeline go? Do I literally have to move this over? Nope. Not helpful. Okay. Well, that's stupid. That's so stupid. Why did you fight with me? Things were so good until you went and ruined it. Maybe if I save this and then come back, I'll just save it as, like, desktop, probably. Desktop, and then, bada ping, ping, ping. That works, that works, that works. Yeah, I think I'll just close it and reopen it. Let's see, let's see. Oh boy, let's see. File, open recent. And it reopens the timeline. Holy shit, wets the bed. Okay. So I like to have something to listen to while I work, so I'm gonna go over to Nebula. And over on Nebula, I'm not signed in? I'm not signed in. Oh, that's because it's DuckDuckGo. Sign me in? Yeah, okay. Good, good, good.
So I was willing to give season 2 of Netflix Avatar a chance. Like, no, I didn't like the first season very much. It was bad for a lot of reasons. But then anything can change, right? We all deserve grace and love. I believe that. And besides, the original season 2 of Avatar is my favorite of the series.
Oh, my
it's more
legs
dramatic
itchy.
and dark and plot focused than the first season is. And if any part of Avatar could make for a good live action adaptation, it's probably this one. Also, look at Aang. He's a little man now. He's all grown
What
up.
happened there?
That can make things better, right? Make the show a bit more watchable. As it turns out, though, no. The season is really, really bad. Let's talk about the whole thing. So in the very first scene of this show, we see 2 refugees who are fleeing the Fire Nation, and one of them says this.
Then we save ourselves. If they kill me, I will not die easy.
And look, I know how nitpicky this sounds. It's probably a horrible place to start this video, but this is one of the first sentences in the show, and I really don't like it.
If they kill me, I will not die easy.
Like, I get what this random woman is going for here, you know, she'll put up a fight, but I can't help but think, if someone kills you, you're dead. The conditional doesn't work.
happening?
It sounds weird. So Team
Why are
Avatar
you, like,
confronts some
locking to a
firebenders
grid?
in the woods, and oh my god, look at that. Is Aang fighting? Is Aang doing violence at some random Fire Nation guys?
Why are you
Look, I already
locking
talked
onto a
about this
grid?
to death
It's
in my
annoying.
last
Stop
Avatar
it.
video, and I won't crow on about it forever here. But I do think it's just wild how many times Netflix Avatar emphasized how much Aang refuses to fight, how averse
Nope.
he is
I
to
don't
any
like that.
kind of violence.
I'm sorry. I
Save,
didn't mean to
close,
Being the Avatar isn't just
reopen.
about fighting.
We'll just
It's about
reopen it.
helping people. That's why I need to master all the bending disciplines. To
Whoops,
become
gotta
strong.
go. Don't
Only
want to
to
get spoiled
completely
for
memory
season 2
hole
of Avatar.
Here's my guess for this season, and I'll wrap
Fair,
back
fair.
around to it if I'm wrong.
Have a good one, then.
Aang's general
I've
pacifism
been waiting to
just
listen
will
to
not
this
come up
one for a
this
little
season.
while, so I'm
forget
gonna
about
stick
it.
around and listen to it. But
right.
take care,
so
buddy.
Sokka's main plot in this episode is his relationship with Suki, the warrior of Kyoshi.
There we go.
Now, I'm not a big fan of Suki in this show. Like, she kind of only has 2 character traits, being really weird and
There we go,
off-putting
yeah. I
and
don't know why it
being
did
into
that.
Sokka. And that makes their romance just a bit unsatisfying, of course. But even if we leave that aside, this plot is just weirdly timed. In the prior episode, Sokka's GF died and became the moon. Now he's immediately getting involved in some new relationship?
I can't tell you what it means to see you.
Like, I get that time has, in theory, passed between these 2 episodes, but it hasn't passed for the audience, right? And so even as they try to make it out that Sokka is still grieving, he inevitably comes off as sort of callous here. This, incidentally, is probably why the original show doesn't put these romances back to back. So what comes next is probably the most mystifying sequence in this episode. Aang needs an earthbending teacher, and he wants Bumi.
Have you watched your whole world burn down around you?
The problem is that Bumi has been captured by the Fire Nation.
What are you doing back in the Earth Kingdom?
I'm gonna rescue my earthbending teacher. Do you know where they're holding Boomy?
It seems like a big deal, you know? The Fire Nation captured Omashu and holds its leader. That's huge.
That's an idea.
But here, in Netflix Avatar,
Okay,
he
so
just kind of gets in
there's
there
this,
and
like,
takes out the
double
Fire Nation
line
guys in
thing
2
going on
seconds.
here that I
and
do
then King
not
Bumi
want.
starts screaming and crying about his trauma.
I had to feel everything.
I may be
so
able to
that
fix that.
I
Whoa.
could feel nothing.
And yells about how Aang has to master
There we go.
Jing.
People use Jing every day and they aren't aware of it, but you must.
A concept that feels normal in the animated show, but somehow insane in the live-action version.
You must master neutral Jing
Oh, that's
to learn.
And then
Turn
after
that
the
off.
lecture, Aang is just like, bye Boomy, and that's it. In one word, the problem is
There we go.
pacing. The pacing
That
here
fixes
is
it pretty well.
shockingly fast. Massive conflicts are sorted out within
That's pretty
seconds.
good.
Huge
Okay.
amounts of weird information are just kind of dumped on the audience. At one point, Aang is like, you're my oldest friend, Boomy.
My oldest friend just be my teacher.
Which I guess is technically true, but like, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure you're friends.
It may look that way, but it is waiting and listening.
I think you should drop this guy, Yang. So a little later on, and we're in the Fire Nation, baby, where Azula and her father Ozai are talking about what they need to get done.
General Tran.
Azula needs to go get Zuko. The Fire Nation wants to capture Ba Sing Se, the Earth Kingdom city. You get the idea.
My earthbending prisoners will tunnel under the walls, and our troops will ravage the city from the inside out.
They will never see it coming.
So as is always the case,
Very
I
nice.
really try to not let my criticisms of this show just be, it's not like the original Avatar, and therefore it's bad. But sometimes that gets really hard. Like, because we have the animated show where this scene simply doesn't exist, I know for a fact that the scene didn't need to exist.
That's really good.
Azula's
That's really
first scene
good.
this season could have easily just been her looking for Zuko, being cool.
You said the tides would not allow us to bring the ship in. Do the tides command this ship?
Her plan to take Ba Sing Se could have been introduced when it was relevant. Instead, we have this lengthy expository scene, and it just feels bloated.
Our last siege of Ba Sing Se was a colossal failure. Doomed from its planning and abandoned in its execution by the traitor General Iroh.
So it occurs to me now that I'm editing the video that technically wrong. The scene kind of does exist in the original Avatar. It's the very last scene of the first season.
Iroh is a traitor, and your brother Zuko is a failure. I have a task for you.
The difference is, though, and the reason why it didn't come to mind is that it's like 10 seconds and awesome and like fun and stuff, and doesn't take so much of my time to establish details that I don't care about. So for whatever reason, Katara sits down with this strange woman, the one from before, who won't be killed easy if she dies. And the lady just talks about how she has to have hope that she will be able to avoid the Fire Nation. There's a reference to the Painted Lady, too, one of the most mid-episodes from the original third season.
When you see a painted lady, it's a blessing. A sign. It means we're going the right way.
I'll say it again, I really don't know who this woman is. I do know in my heart that she won't play any relevant role in anything and that none of this matters at all. I'm writing this before I watch the rest of the show, so if I'm wrong, I'll correct myself here. Hey, I'm right. She is like Sai's will they won't they girlfriend. Sai, the mechanist from the first season, he's in this season too. He plays a very small part, and this woman is his quasi girlfriend, so she doesn't matter at all, and she never does anything important. In any case, it's another long scene, one that doesn't push the plot forward in any way.
Outside our village, these flowers grew like a perfumed blanket until one day they all withered.
And it makes you wonder why they denied so much time to that insane Boomy thing. You know, could we spare a few minutes for that? Did we need the Painted Lady Hope lecture about the Painted Lady flower? Suki offers Sokka a peach pear in a very arousing moment that turns me on greatly.
You're being very rude about my peach pear.
No, I love your peach pear.
Try it. It's lovely.
And when Sokka refuses, she says this.
You're always hungry. How many times have you threatened to eat Momo?
Well, that's just
Really good idea. He looks delicious.
Girl, when did you even see him say any of that? He was in your town for like one day years ago. How many times, honestly, did he say he was gonna eat Momo? Why doesn't this show build relationships instead of having characters refer blandly to non-existent events? It's so horrible.
Okay, that's looking pretty
Right, so
damn
the main set
good.
piece for this episode is the Serpent's Pass. In the original show, Aang and his friends have to traverse the Serpent's Pass because Appa was stolen, and Aang is so unbelievably depressed that he has decided to essentially turn off his emotions.
I know sometimes it hurts more to hope, and it hurts more to care. But you have to promise me that you won't stop caring.
That's Aang's conflict in that episode. But you know, in this version, Appa is right there, lumbering along. So do you want to know what they replaced that conflict with? Well, as it turns out, Katara wants to teach Aang how to heal people using waterbending, and Aang doesn't want to do it for reasons that he never describes and that I can't imagine.
Do you want to help me heal him?
You'll have to learn it eventually.
But then at the end of the episode, Aang accidentally wounds a big serpent, the Serpent of Serpent's Pass. And then he is willing to learn how to use healing powers.
We can heal it together.
I can't. I haven't.
No, trust me. This is how you learn.
Just a conflict that means nothing and that has no stakes and that is resolved almost instantly.
Now we work with the serpent. Feel its energy. Beat of its heart. The flow of blood all through its body.
That's the main thing going on in this episode. That is the A-plot. The team is on Serpent's Pass, and
I was like, what? Ads? Is that an ad on Nebula? I got so confused. Okay, now I gotta see what the context for that is.
That is the
What was
A-plot.
that? Also, Aang never heals anyone for the entire season. Why does this
The team is
happen?
on Serpent's
I don't
Pass,
get
and
it.
a child says,
We're going
Okay.
too fast. And and it's too
I like
high.
Big Joel. Big Joel videos
I'm
are,
just a kid.
are
You can't
very
be
fun.
serious. This is a dangerous path. I am frightened.
Sometimes he just pulls
Care
some
for me,
shit like
Aang.
that while I'm
Anyway, the
listening.
boys
I'm
are
like,
out of Serpent's
huh?
Pass, thank God.
I gotta go
And
see
then
what's
we get
up.
the big reveal. Aang learns about the ticking clock of the show, Sozin's Comet. In the original Avatar, Aang learns this in the first season. In the last Avatar, Roku tells him, and it's the resolution of a 2-part episode. So there's a lot of build-up and suspense.
Aang, you must defeat the Fire Lord before the comet arrives.
But in this version, Sai just says it.
And when the comet reaches its axis to our world, it will increase the power of every
No,
firebender
I'm being
100.
foolish.
This will be catastrophic.
And really, isn't that just as good? Just having a random guy unceremoniously tell us about the entire conflict of the
I
show?
should have had this
At this
set
point,
to
I'm
the
starting
starting
to wonder
point.
why this
Whoops.
adaptation exists at all. Why doesn't Sai just come in and tell me how it ends? Okay, so I didn't talk about Iroh and Zuko this episode, but, you know, they're still around, and they're working on the farm.
Maybe I'll do something a little bit different.
The
than-
stars like an animal.
Zuko doesn't like that, though, and so Iroh shares a little bit of advice about tea.
I've accepted our circumstances. I've saved most of my earnings to open a small tea stall in a small town. I could teach you to brew the tea.
I can
And you
teach
might
you.
even learn
Teach you.
to
Here's a
enjoy the
tissue.
craft.
I like tea, and I have enough money now to open up a small tea shop. And so one day I will open up the shop and be happy selling tea. So I actually have one note for this scene. Sure, it's fine for Iroh to just tell the audience what he's like. I mean, why bother actually depicting a joyful, modest character who loves tea when we can just have him say that he's those things? I mean, that just saves time, right? That's just a smart idea. But going forward, wouldn't it be even more efficient if Sai just gave us this information? Like, what if, after telling us about Sozin's Comet, Sai was like, oh, and by the way, that Zuko guy, yeah, his uncle loves tea, and he's been saving money. You know, for a tea shop. Anyway, I actually think the episode ends with a kind of cool scene. Zuko gets really mad at Iroh for not embracing his role as Fire Lord.
You were meant to be Fire Lord, not my father. If you hadn't failed in the siege and retreated, if you hadn't stood by and done nothing when my father usurped you.
And it works for me. It's good to see Zuko actually be nasty, actually say horrible things, and then go out on his own. And it feels kind of emotionally real too. Cool. On to the next episode. Episode 2 starts with Zuko paving his own way, walking around and just sort of chilling. It's an adaptation of the episode Zuko Alone, fit with tons of Zuko childhood flashbacks, and while I think that's quite a good episode in the original show, I actually howled in pain when I saw they were adapting it one episode into this season. And that's because the placement just doesn't make any sense to me. A flashback-heavy episode is good because it answers questions that the audience actually has, because we're invested in the characters, Zuko and Azula. But neither of these people have done anything this season. What questions do I have about them? By its nature, the flashback episode stalls the forward momentum of a show, and that just really stings when there has been no forward momentum. Also, the flashbacks themselves are so bad, I'm not even going to talk about them that much. Zuko's mom Ursa feels fake and insipid, and his father is just like, I'm the nasty one.
So you have to settle your disputes with respect and dignity.
Only if you are weak. A fight, once begun, only ends when one wins. And one loses.
For whatever reason, the show decides that the Blue Spirit, Zuko's nasty vigilante alter ego, actually comes from a story that his mother told him when he was a kid.
Do you know who else protects the innocent?
The Blue Spirit?
That's right.
And even this, what should be a totally normal scene, just feels so ham-fisted. Ursa's like, the Blue Spirit is a guy who might be a god.
They called their protector the Blue Spirit. And no one knew if he was a spirit or a man blessed by the spirits for his good works.
He had 2 swords and a mask.
And then Zuko's like, wow, is the Blue Spirit real?
Stop fucking
Is the
with
Blue
me.
Spirit
Stop it.
real, Mom?
Quit it. Quit selecting all of them, idiot.
And I'm
Stupid.
just watching this thinking, is who real?
Jesus
Your mother didn't
Christ.
tell a story about anyone. She just said that there's a guy, and the guy is the Blue Spirit. Mother, can you tell me about Giant Jones again? Well, son, he was a big, tall man. And did Giant Jones have a hammer? A huge hammer, yeah. Wow, is Giant Jones real? Yeah. Anyway, that's all I'll say about the Zuko alone portion of this episode. Between the
Come on,
flashback
stop fighting me.
sequences, Zuko hangs
Stop
out with a woman, and it's
it.
mostly
There we
fine,
go.
but for the fact that everybody delivers their lines like they're stuck in molasses.
I mean, now that I know you're clever-handed. Well, there's, plenty around here that could use some fixing. I mean, more than I could get done in a year on my own.
There we go. There we go.
Okay, let's get back to Team Avatar, where surely some pretty important stuff is going on. Sokka comes in to hang out with the group, and they get into a weirdly long conversation about Jing.
You forgot to put Earthbending teacher on it. One who understands neutral Jing. You should write that down.
Why neutral? The positive Jing's the best one, right?
No, Jing is not good or bad. It's just the way you do things.
Oh, so positive is moving forward?
Yeah.
Just literally re-explain what Boomy said in the last episode, and do so in the most contrived-sounding way possible, for reasons that escape me.
But Aang needs to master the neutral Jing. What's that?
You know, watching this convo, I can't help but notice that ever since Sai kindly explained it to us, nobody's actually mentioned the existence of Sozin's Comet. Like in the last episode, he gave his big speech, and Aang had this dumb brain blast where he decided that finding an earthbending teacher would have to wait, and that they have to go to Ba Sing Se to warn them of the comet.
Change of plans. We're going to Ba Sing Se with all the refugees. We're gonna bring
Okay,
Sai to
this
the
is-
thing to tell him about the comet.
This is
and
good.
The Earth King's armies will be able to help us.
And then nothing. Next episode comes, and everyone's just talking about what sort of earthbending teacher Aang needs. It literally feels like every scene in this show was written by a different person, and that nobody communicates to anybody else. So okay, the Aang part of this episode is mostly adapting The Blind Bandit, the episode where Toph is introduced. The original is a fun episode,
I just
of
hit
course, and you
Control
can hear
Save
there's
because
a
I'm
joy
not
in seeing
risking
Toph.
losing a bunch of progress
Scared?
again.
The pebble?
Ugh.
Still, there are just little things that bother me about the way this plot is written. Team Avatar is watching Toph fighting this guy, the boulder,
Rubs
in
belly.
earthbending combat. The fight starts, and Aang's immediately like, she's doing it. She's doing neutral Jing. She's waiting and listening.
She's doing it. Waiting and listening. Just like Boomy said.
But I kinda don't buy it. Let's look at this scene in the original Avatar. Pay attention to the way slow-mo is used, and to how Toph's heightened observational abilities are highlighted. The sequence makes it absolutely clear that Toph is aware of every one of the boulder's movements. Does the live-action version convey that nearly as well? What exactly is Toph paying attention to? What is she waiting and listening for? Like, they use the same kind of effect, but it's so much less punchy. It feels like Toph is perceiving less information, and these big graphic circles are replaced with blobby waves that don't really convey anything to me. All this to say, if Aang didn't say, wow, she's using neutral Jing, would I have been able to come to that conclusion? No, I don't think so. After the fight concludes, a representative of Toph's family, the Beifongs, invites Aang to dinner.
Avatar Aang. I'm Jishin, Executive Secretary to the Beifong family. The Beifongs were great friends to Avatar Roku, and wish to be the same to you.
On its face, this makes very little sense to me. Do the Beifongs know about this earthbending combat situation, the Earth Rumble? Did they send their boy out to invite the Avatar, and did that boy just watch Toph fight? If so, that's really weird because Toph's parents don't know that Toph is an incredible earthbender. So what gives? What's the deal with that? Also, I think it's at least relevant that in the original show, Aang watches Toph fight and then has to go out and find her because he wants her to teach him earthbending. He wasn't just coincidentally invited to Toph's house. And you can call that a minor difference. I mean, it is a minor difference, but it just shows how happy Netflix Avatar is to deny its characters the opportunity to do things, explore, experience the world. Also, and this is a real nitpick, why does Toph describe herself as a little girl?
Maybe you should give up. Crowd doesn't want to see two little girls fighting.
Why does Sokka say she's a little girl?
Did the boulder just squish a little girl?
In the original show, Toph is 12 years old, so that would make sense.
Do people really want to see two little girls fighting out here?
But this actress is 19. She wouldn't say that, and it's weird and off-putting that some random guy says it about her. Okay, one last note about this Toph plot. A few scenes later, Toph and Aang are chatting, and Toph talks about how she learned earthbending from badger moles, and they have this conversation.
I bet the badger moles made you feel safe. Do you ever visit them?
No. This was near our house we had in Galen. We don't go there anymore.
I'm sorry. My sky bison Appa is my closest friend. If I ever lost him, I don't know what I'd do.
So now is as good a time as any, I think, to talk about something I've already hinted at. One of the biggest problems with this season is Appa. Appa is the main source of conflict in Season 2 of Avatar. Aang's desire to find him after he's kidnapped motivates essentially every decision he makes. And this conflict works because Appa is an actually important character. Not only is he huge and cute, not only does he have a close bond with Aang that we actually get to see and enjoy,
How dare you blame Appa? He saved your life 3 times today.
but he's also just really important to the plot. Appa is an essential member of the team. He takes the characters from place to place and saves the day, and in his absence, Team Avatar is made more impotent and slow. Why are we stuck in the desert? Why do we have to cross this horrible Serpent's Pass? Because Appa isn't here. But you know, Netflix Avatar basically doesn't have Appa in it. He has almost 0 screen time. For the most part, all we get is a few shots here and there. Sometimes we don't even get a shot, just a character referring to Appa off screen. So given this problem, what does Netflix Avatar do? Well, they can't actually develop Appa now so that it makes sense to care about him when he's kidnapped. That would be ridiculous. So instead, they just have Aang say, wow, that big guy's my best friend and I love him.
My sky bison Appa is my closest friend. If I ever lost him.
I would be so sad if anything were to ever happen to my big guy. You have a big, furry, juicy best friend? Well, me too. And I love my big guy. It is truly heinous writing, and I find it a bit embarrassing. Anyway, whatever. Toph is on the team now, I guess. Let's move on. Right toward the end of the episode, Azula confronts Zuko, and it is just a profoundly weird scene.
Azula.
So one thing I didn't discuss about the last episode is that when Ozai talks to Azula, he says this.
Zuko is alive and hiding out in a far-flung corner of the Earth Kingdom. I want you to retrieve him.
Retrieve him. And do what?
Bring him home. It's time to get our family in order.
That's interesting, right? In the original show, Ozai sends Azula off to capture Zuko and bring him back as a prisoner.
Why would he want you back home, except to lock you up where you can no longer embarrass him?
But here, he seems to actually be pardoning his son.
And I have decided to pardon him.
And even if Ozai is lying, Azula doesn't know that, and so the mission that Ozai sends her on to bring back her brother isn't a nasty one. And while Azula uses a mean tone in this scene with Zuko, while ominous music plays under her, she's not actually lying to or harming Zuko in any way here.
He's pardoned you for your treachery in the north, and he's lifted your banishment. Congratulations.
You're lying.
I wish I were. I've been sent to retrieve you.
So this is truly a huge shift to the plot of Avatar. For much of the original show, the entire purpose of Zuko's life is to get back in his father's good graces. This is why when Azula lies to Zuko and says that Ozai wants him back, he's over the moon.
Did you listen to Azula? Fathers realize how important family is to him. He cares about me.
Because he's an abused child who wants his father to love him. It's a pretty straightforward motive and one that makes a whole lot of sense. But in Netflix Avatar, Azula says she wants Zuko to come back, and Zuko denies her because, as he says, he's not going back without the Avatar.
I'm not going back without the Avatar.
Don't be a fool, Zuko. Look at the state of you.
I'm more powerful than you remember.
Because his pride and not his desperation is now his most primary motive, and it's a much more sinister motive at that. So I want to say, I don't think this is inherently bad. Maybe it's interesting that Zuko is a fundamentally different character now. Maybe it could lead to some interesting places. What I will say, though, is that I don't trust this show, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Netflix Avatar completely drops the ball on this whole big character change. Anyway, the episode ends. There's a fight scene that's very reminiscent of the one in the chase, though in this case it's pretty muddy. Like, I'm not super clear on why Azula is fighting Zuko, but whatever. Azula hits Iroh in the gut with lightning. Very scary, and we move on to the next episode. So if I wanted to, I think I could make the case that the third episode of Netflix Avatar is okay, maybe even pretty good. In the episode, Team Avatar goes to Ba Sing Se, the dystopian Earth Kingdom city, to try to warn the king about Sozin's comet. I guess they care about that again, which, cool. And also, Toph tries to teach Aang how to earthbend. The episodes being adapted here, Bitter Work and City of Walls and Secrets, are some of the best of the entire original series, and so it's not a surprise that they made for an above-average episode of the show. So I'll start here with a little twist. Let's go over all the things I enjoyed about this episode. Okay, so Toph's parents send goons to recover their daughter because she ran away with the Avatar. And in one scene, Aang is trying to learn earthbending, and Toph kind of teams up with all the goons to yell advice at him.
Caress the earth! Like a lover!
What? Recognize the element to command the element. Study the terrain. You must feel the earth.
It's pretty funny, you know, it got a real laugh out of me. And that's cool because this scene wasn't in the original show, you know? It was a creative, fresh choice, and it paid off. I like how Long Feng, the mastermind of Ba Sing Se, is introduced. He gives these presents to the main characters that seem very thoughtful, but that also suggests that he has a lot of intelligence on these people.
Candied sea prunes?
Miss Bayfall.
Just like home.
Is this mineral salt to soak my feet?
And that's good, subtle storytelling. Again, that's not in the original Avatar, and it's a fun choice. Team Avatar goes to a party where Aang tries to get the audience of the Earth King, and there's a scene lifted from the episode Tales of Ba Sing Se where Katara harms some evil women who are bullying Toph.
Her makeup looks like a baboon's butt.
And I think it's a perfectly cute scene.
Did you just bend their drinks into their faces? Well, I'm not gonna let anyone talk about my friend like that.
Suki leaves Ba Sing Se this episode, and Sokka cries because he feels like he pushed her away because he's traumatized by the death of his moon GF Yue. And so Sokka and Katara have a nice emotional conversation about it.
So what, I'm just gonna be screwed up forever, never knowing if something's gonna tip me over the edge?
I don't know.
There we go. That looks a lot better.
You know, it doesn't blow my mind or anything, but in the last season, Aang faced the death of his entire people, and Katara was just like...
The thing about losing everything is that's when
what
you
is
learn
going
how
on
strong you
here?
are.
What is that?
It's when you
What?
learn to fight.
So this is a huge improvement. And if I just showed you all of that, maybe you could walk away thinking the episode was a 5 or 6 out of 10. Not great, but totally serviceable and at times cute. The problem with Netflix Avatar, though, is that it's stuck being itself. Sure, it can have good moments, but there are profound structural issues that plague the show and make it quite bad, even in episodes that by all rights should be fine. Let's take a scene from the beginning of the episode where Iroh, wounded by Azula, tries to teach Zuko how to reflect lightning. It's a really great scene from the original, but here they don't even try to make it add up. The scene opens with Iroh going over all the different elements, and there's no setup for it.
Earth is the element of strength. The
That's
people
very
of the
nice.
Earth
That's
Kingdom
very nice.
are resilient and enduring.
The audience has no clue why we have to hear this lecture. It feels totally random. Then Iroh yells at Zuko for not listening, and then says he wants to teach him a lightning-based ability he designed himself. He gets into his horse stance and says,
The key is you must allow the energy to flow from the tips of your fingers to your shoulder.
And you're watching this thinking, the key to what? What exactly is Iroh teaching? What skill did he develop? Whatever, Zuko spends a bunch of time practicing some ambiguous skill, and then it's presented as some strange twist that Zuko isn't learning to bend lightning at all, just how to redirect it.
I got it. Now how do I create the lightning?
No, this is a technique I created by watching waterbenders. It is to redirect lightning.
Redirect?
Yes, to defend yourself.
I don't need self-defense. I need to defeat Azula.
And it's like, why is that a surprise for Zuko? Why wouldn't Iroh just tell Zuko the thing that he's teaching? The scene is obviously trying to copy the original Avatar, where after Zuko learns how to redirect lightning, he wants his uncle to bend some at him and they fight about it.
I thought that was the point. You teaching me how to protect myself from it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to shoot lightning at you.
But see, that makes sense, and this doesn't. To make things stranger, it's not even clear why Zuko has to fight Azula in the first place. Azula doesn't want to hit Zuko with lightning, at least it hasn't been established that she does. No, if you'll remember, she actually wants to bring Zuko back to the Fire Nation because his father pardoned him.
You don't have to do that. Capture the Avatar, I mean. Father doesn't care about that anymore.
So that's an odd wrinkle. So look, we can criticize this moment, say that it's not written properly, doesn't convey well, but I feel like even that is missing the point. This scene shouldn't be in this show. If Netflix Avatar wasn't adapting the cartoon, if it was an original work, they would have never even thought to include some lengthy speech about how Zuko can reflect lightning. And we know that because the scene on its own terms is totally unmotivated. And you know, just for reference, let's take a second here and think about just how motivated the scene is in the original show. Zuko asks to learn about lightning. That's why Iroh is giving this speech.
It's only a matter of time before I run into Azula again. I'm going to need to know more advanced firebending if I want to stand a chance against her.
He tries to bend it himself, but can't, and so Iroh teaches him how to redirect it.
Why can't I do it? Instead of lightning, it keeps exploding in my face. Like everything always does.
More importantly, perhaps, the scene resonates thematically. In the episode Bitter Work, Zuko has to learn to incorporate knowledge of waterbending, the element most foreign to him, just as Aang has to incorporate knowledge of earthbending, the element most foreign to him.
It is the combination of the 4 elements in one person that makes the Avatar so powerful. But it can make you more powerful too.
It's a conflict that draws our 2 protagonists together, and that's a huge priority for the original Avatar. But here, that's all gone. The only reason the scene exists, as far as I can tell, is that Netflix Avatar imagines its source material as a list of bullet points to get through. It doesn't have purpose or structure, it has events. And because of this basic problem, even scenes that could be okay are often weighed down with a sense of pointlessness. I like seeing Toph and Katara explore their relationship in this bully scene.
I mean, I've been kind of mean to you. Mostly you just tell the truth.
But the problem is, they don't have a relationship to explore. Toph was introduced in the prior episode. She's had 1 or 2 microscopic conversations with Katara. Is now really the time to talk about how they've had a rocky relationship? How mean has Toph been? How much truth has she told? I like Long Feng giving the characters gifts, but when he gives Aang a rock to remind him of his bond with Appa, you know, the audience can only think, what bond? Which bond?
I hope this is appropriate. What do you give an air nomad who is in want of nothing?
That's where I met Appa. I'll keep this with me always.
I literally just harped on this, so I won't do it again, but it's so distracting every time they try to force Appa into a conversation. Ah yes, dearest Appa. He's everybody's favorite boy. It's nice to see Katara and Sokka have a heart-to-heart chat, but Sokka's crying over Suki leaving, and Suki is the most pointless character of all time. She drops into the second season, does literally nothing, and then goes away. She doesn't even say goodbye. We just learn that she effed off to be a warrior somewhere else.
Sokka, the Kyoshi warriors have left the city too. Suki said there was no need for warriors in the
What am
city.
I doing? What am I
There's
not
no war.
doing?
What's the
anything?
point? Even the best scene in the episode, where all the nasty boys are trying to show Aang how to earthbend, I feel like it signs checks that the show refuses to cash. This is a fun scene primarily because it sets up a conflict. Aang is having a really hard time earthbending, and simply yelling at him and giving advice doesn't fix the problem.
I've seen 2-year-olds hold their ground better. You're about as stalwart as a possum chicken. You know, even Sokka could have earthbent by now.
It looks promising, but in the end, they just kind of shrug off this conflict. Toph goes up to Aang and yells at him more, and then he bends Earth.
Maybe you'll never learn this. Maybe water and air is all you'll ever bend. Maybe you're nothing but a half-atar. Enough!
It all just feels so thoughtless. So yes, episode 3 is good by Netflix Avatar standards, but there is just a rotten core to it that remains. Anyway, we're on to the next. It's genuinely kind of hard to describe episode 4 of this show, and that's because there are just so many plot threads. Let's go over it. Let me give you a list. It's baffling. 1. Aang trusts Long Feng, who is secretly the evil leader of Ba Sing Se's secret police, the Dai Li. 2. Aang has to learn earthbending. In particular, Toph wants him to bend things that he can't see. 3. Toph is blackmailed by some random guy who threatens to reveal that Toph's parents, the Beifong family, sell arms to the Fire Nation. 4. Sai, the engineer guy from before, is kidnapped by the Dai Li, and Sokka wants to find him. 5. Zuko, who's in Ba Sing Se now, is acting as the Blue Spirit, helping people in some nebulous way. He accidentally burns down a restaurant. Whoops. I guess Blue Spirit ain't so good. 6. Jet, the badass terrorist guy who was introduced back into the show in the last episode, is also in Ba Sing Se, and he sees the burned down restaurant and falsely assumes that a group of reformed firebenders are responsible and decides to, murder them or something. The main firebender Jet gets mad at is Zhang Zhang, by the way. Zhang Zhang the deserter from the original show.
What would a boy know of destiny? If a fish lives its whole life in this river, does he know the river's destiny? No.
You may have cut your hair, but you can't cut the fire from your soul.
7. Katara is acting as the illustrious painted lady, giving poor people in Ba Sing Se a little help. 8. Azula is out and about. She wants to figure out a way to capture Ba Sing Se. 9. Aang Katara romance stuff. Are they gonna fall in love? And finally, 10. Iroh mopes around, sad to be back in Ba Sing Se because it's the city he attempted to conquer. He's also sad about the death of his son, Mu Ten. You think that's enough, guys? You think 10 plot threads for a 54-minute episode of TV should do it? You know, maybe we could add a character named Blorgus, and Blorgus has a word or two to say to Sokka. You know, the sky's the limit. Anyway, let's go over the interesting stuff here. In principle, I kind of like Aang's plot. I guess I just enjoy Long Feng's actor. I can see how Aang would get manipulated by him.
So you're with me?
Of course. Of course I'm with you. I live to serve Ba Sing Se.
He gives this fun speech about how Aang should stop trying to look at things for what they are and just follow his heart.
But it sounds like what you're trying to do is distrust the way you see the world. If you ask me, I think you should trust your heart.
And I enjoy seeing cliched advice like that being used by a manipulator. That's a fun idea. Toward the midpoint of the episode, Sokka and Katara start to distrust Long Feng, and they ask Aang who he trusts more.
It seems like you trust Long Feng more than you trust us.
Do you even have to think about that?
And Aang's pregnant pause here is oddly delightful to me. Sure, in the original show, this would be an outright baffling conversation, because of course Aang and Sokka and Katara are best friends and have a beautiful relationship. But in the live-action version, I don't know. These characters feel enough like strangers to each other that I wouldn't be that surprised if Aang just didn't like them that much.
Of course, I trust you guys more.
But you know, my critique here is the obvious one. This plot is simply not developed enough. Sure, Aang and Long Feng are friendly with each other, but they don't act like best friends or something. They just kind of chat in 2 scenes and that's it. Watching Long Feng reveal himself to be evil would feel so much more meaningful if we were able to luxuriate in his relationship with Aang. But you know, we can't do that. We got 9 more plots to get to. What is Tonbo doing in Ba Sing Se? And what of the strange relationship between Katara and Aratak? I don't understand the Jet plot this episode. He sees that a restaurant burnt down, and so he decides with literally 0 proof that a bunch of Fire Nation people who he specifically describes as reformed are responsible for it.
There's a group of reformed Fire Nation people living in the old stables across the park. They're not supposed to firebend or make trouble, but trouble's in their blood.
It's really stupid, and it doesn't fall in line with his prior characterization at all. In the first episode he's introduced, in the first season, Jet wants to kill the Earth King Boomy because he feels that Boomy is totally incompetent and refuses to fight against the Fire Nation. Which is true, by the way. He's right.
You didn't do it on your own, so you didn't learn anything at all.
And you can disagree with Jet's scheme, but at least you can imagine it coming from a rational mind. Now Jet has sunk so deep that he's explicitly talking about how he wants to kill random people, whether they're guilty or not.
It's happening tonight. The old stables. We're gonna make them pay. And not just the ones who did it.
Where did that come from? Am I supposed to just imagine character development that didn't happen?
He's the one who did it.
So the Iroh plot is probably my least favorite this episode. It's pulling from the episode Tales of Ba Sing Se, where Iroh walks around helping people and then reflects on the death of his son. And God, they really do not put the work in. The thing that makes that vignette really sweet and touching in the original is that Iroh is a rich, multifaceted character.
What are you talking about? Just give me your money, old man!
With a poor stance, you are unbalanced and you can be easily knocked over.
For the most part, he's joyful and silly, and so the final moment is kind of a twist, an emotional punch in the gut.
Happy birthday, my son. If only I could have helped you.
But Iroh is such a dull, long-suffering character in Netflix Avatar that there's really no story to be told here. He starts off the story miserable and weepy-looking, and then he talks to some thief guy and he looks miserable and weepy-looking.
I don't want to kill anyone. I'm sorry.
5, 4, 3.
I'm gonna listen to the rest of this on my own time, but I'm getting tired. I should be getting ready for bed. It's 1:21 and I work tonight, so. Ooh. Jeezy Louise.